Welcome to Tuesday Talks, and my special guest today is Vanja. Now, Vanja actually is a refugee from a war-torn country. She came to Australia at 11 years old, and she experienced hardship, abuse, and had very limiting beliefs. She is now a counsellor who helps others build their own self-belief, and she's an entrepreneur who wants to empower women that no matter what your past is, you get to choose your future. Her philosophy is understanding yourself, and healing your wounds will give you a deep freedom, love, and abundance you never knew possible. And I just absolutely love, what you've said about that. It just, it's just so right. And so I'd love for you, Vanya, just to, just give a little bit of about yourself and more about how you came into being a counsellor.
Yes, thank you for having me on the show. So how I guess I'll start with the second question first, and I'm sure that'll answer the first one. Um, how I became a counselor is, I think it's kind of like everyone else. You see the struggle. There's a point where you start seeing that, okay, so not everybody kind of looks like this. Not everybody is the depression hits really hard, and not everybody's going through this. Like I'm looking at the people next to me, outside of myself, and not everybody's going through this. That I guess that there's that point of you start looking at your future, and it doesn't seem happy. It doesn't seem there's something missing. And so that's when I started seeking counseling, and through counseling I then began to understood the reasons why I was feeling like that, and it was due to my exactly what you've just said, due to my past, due to the trauma that I experienced. And you also kind of again, through that depression and what trauma does to us, um, that lack of concentration, the really having trouble sleeping, nightmares, and things like that. You can kind of see. I used to say I'm not on the same level playing field as everyone else. I feel like I'm in a race, but everyone else is like 10, 20 meters ahead of me, and I'm just desperately trying to run, trying to keep up. Uh, so that's that. There was that turning point that I was like, I'm looking at my future, because that's where I thought the answers was when I was in it. I thought the answers was in the future. Once I have my own family, once I, get married and have children, like I'll be good. It'll work itself out. And then there was a point that I realized that it's not going to. I'm going to have to start doing something about this. And I come from a family and from a background of we don't do therapy, so it was something that I hid for like 2 years. um, so and that was when I saw how much it changed me, what it did for me. Again, so coming from a family, we don't do therapy, so I had no idea what therapy was. So just what it's done for me, how that change of mindset, how that working through the past and healing it, and then being able to have that strong foundation. And that's what I help my clients with: build that strong foundation, find themselves, find belief in themselves. So whether they want to go to entrepreneurship, whether they want to go work for someone else, whether they want family, whatever it is they want, they have that foundation, that core belief in themselves. And that's what changed my life.
Yeah, and that's such, I really love how you talk about the foundations and the belief in yourself, because as you're right, it doesn't matter whether you work for someone else or you're a businesswoman, having that belief is so profound. Like when I was working, because I spent 30 years in the healthcare field, I needed to believe in myself and as a nurse, because I had these patients and families relying on me. I had other staff relying on me. And so,
Yeah.
what is it that you do specifically that helps your clients actually come to that point?
Yeah. So one of the things that we start doing is creating awareness of what we're thinking, feeling, reflecting on um, reflecting on our I guess our life and past decisions and things like that. But it's never from a place of judgment. It's always from a place of curiosity and wanting to learn more and wanting to understand. So that's it's a simple process. It's nothing complicated. There isn't hoops you have to jump through. You know who you are deep down. You know that there is a essence, I call it a radiance, that wants to shine. We just cover it up with layers, and those layers could start from the moment you're born through the trauma, and there is different levels of trauma, but my strong belief is that everyone has gone through some type of trauma of their own. Of course, as I said, levels of trauma, but there's something that influences who we are. And just those multiple layers, and you come to a point where you're 20, 30, 50, whatever it is, years old, and you ask the question, is this it? Is there more to life? I don't know who I am. I am stuck in this job, this relationship, this house, this city, whatever it is, and I just don't feel alive anymore. And creating that awareness of what it is that got you here, and that's where we start, and then we start peeling those layers back and allowing that radiance to shine. And that's where that core belief is, and that's when we can start making different type of decisions.
Yeah, and you're so right. And for people that are watching, they may not understand what you mean by belief. Can you actually explain more about that?
Yes. Okay. So our belief is what shapes our decision making. It's kind of what shapes us, what we think, and the point that we got to. I have a client that I worked with, and this is kind of what our belief does. So he's a doctor, but he's also a invests a lot and things like that. So he's very well off. He earns multi-millions. And we were chatting about, and we would come to those core feelings, and he was just like, it's just, I need to do more. I need to earn more. I need to do this. I need to do that. And I'm just like, okay, so looking from majority of the world's perspective, you're quite successful. Why do you feel like that's not enough? And we had, it was a couple of sessions that we come to an understanding, or he come to a realization, or the aha moment that for him, it was enough when he was earning more than his dad.
Wow.
Everything up to that point is just not enough.
Wow.
And it was a core belief. And this is, I guess, what a belief is. This is why it shapes his life. Doesn't matter what he did, doesn't matter, he had a beautiful wife and children. Nothing was enough. The only time he felt enough is, I guess, there was that competition with that. And when he was earning more than him, then great, he felt good. Anything under that, he didn't feel worthy. And I guess, so that's what a belief is. It usually is created in childhood, and it is something. So as a child, we kind of come, very curious into the world, and we absorb everything that is around us, and everything that happens, we try and make sense of. So, in school, you are told that's not the way to do things. So we kind of create a story, we make sense of what that means. And what research has shown is that we take those beliefs, so it's kind of like those primitive years from 0 to about, it's different research says different ages, but I'd say from 0 to 10. So this first decade of your life, that's where you form those beliefs. And then we take those beliefs and we repeat them for the rest of our lives until we bring awareness to it and make conscious decisions. And how do we know in our life whether we're doing that? Just look at your life. So whatever problem that you're having right now, whether it's relationship, work, struggle, have you been here before? Have you done this problem before? It may look differently in the sense of, I keep having arguments with my husband, but it's always about a different thing. But you know that it feels the same. You have the same feelings. You have those same reactions. Of course, the reason why you're arguing is different from time to time, but we keep repeating patterns, and those patterns are based on our beliefs. And they're based on our childhood as a 3-year-old, something happened, they made sense of it, and then now all of a sudden that's what you do for the rest of your life. So that's a long-winded way of saying that's what a belief is.
No, that's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. And just a question though, is there good beliefs, or I like to say healthy and unhealthy? Is there healthy beliefs?
Of course, of course. A belief is only unhealthy if it keeps us stuck, if it keeps us away from where our purpose and where we want to go. And so for that person that I just talked about, in terms of, having that belief that he's not worthy unless he earns more than his dad, there was a point where that belief was good for him, because it made it, it pushed him to do better, be better, grow. And so that, it was a driving force. But then there comes a point where no matter what I do, I'm not enough. What do I need to do? So, and that's when then I guess a belief can turn the other way. Majority of us kind of have a belief in terms of family. Family is number one, and of course, we should be there for our family. But there comes a point where having that family around is no longer healthy. It's deteriorating. So it's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you down. So now that's the thing that we need to explore about what it actually means to you and what it means to me. For me, I grew up very much with respecting your elders, and I'm sure majority of the people, especially, sort of the older generation, has grown up with that. Even millennials, I see it quite often. But what I understand now, that my idea of what respect is not talking back to your elders and kind of going whatever they say, going yes, and really not having an open conversation and not seeing them as your equal, but seeing them as someone high above me, so I have to be low for you to be high. And 30 years it took me to go, wait a minute, that is not what respect means to me. Respect to me is that we're both on the same level and we both have an open mind, and we would never intentionally hurt someone. That is, so respect is kind of kindness. That's what respect means. And those are the kind of things, that's kind of what a limiting belief is. And that so it comes from health, I guess, healthy and unhealthy. It can be a driving force, but then there comes a point where it is no longer serving you. So then it's time to figure out why and let it go.
Love that. And everything you're saying is actually me, because I grew up, like, I'm nearly 50, so I grew up in that era as well. Like,
Yes.
children are seen and not heard, and respect your elders and sweep everything under the carpet. We don't talk about things. So you can imagine
Yes.
I came from, and then going into business, I didn't really understand a lot about beliefs until I started doing my own work. And then I realized I had depression, anxiety, and PTSD. And then, I was doing all this work, and then I left the healthcare field, and then that's when dramatic changes have happened, because, I've got the awareness of what beliefs are. And is there any regular beliefs you see that maybe people watching can actually maybe recognize?
Yeah. I guess in terms of our beliefs, just defining things in our lives. So when we say, and we use sometimes these terms, and it can mean different things to different people. And so self-belief is in essence is confidence, but I don't say confidence because that can have a different meaning for different people. Um, we sometimes see celebrities and we see them as confident, and then we go, well, I'm not that, so therefore I can't do this, I'm not confident. So defining different terms to us, and so if you're in a business, it's really, really important to understand what success means to you.
Mm,
And that, um, as I said, that can change throughout time. So if you thought about if you kind of a few years into your business, if you think about when you first started your business, what was success to you?
mm.
Probably it was just setting up system that was
Yeah.
woohoo. But now, like, now I need to start making serious money for this to keep going. So really defining what success to is, what happiness is to us, what
Mm,
family is to us,
mm,
um, what relationship is to us. What does it mean to have a romantic relationship?
mm,
Because those are the things. And again, these self beliefs is can absolutely sabotage us,
mm,
because if you have a belief that having a relationship is, so if you're not in a relationship and you have a deep down belief that having a relationship is scary, or if you have a belief that having someone next to you can slow you down, so you're out there looking for someone, but your brain is like, no, we don't want anyone,
mm,
that's going to slow us down. So we're going to keep finding the wrong person, or we're going to keep finding we're not going to find anyone.
mm,
There's something wrong with everyone, or we're just going to be in that circle because we are sabotaging ourselves. um so that's why those type of, so if you're thinking about the problem that you're in right now, um what the goal that you're trying to achieve, what does that mean to you? So
mm,
that specific, whether it's get a relationship, build a seven-figure business, what does that mean to you? That is really important to understand, because that can help us make the right decisions, and that can help us get there as well, a lot faster.
mm. Yeah, I love that. Everything you're saying is like, I'm just going, yes, yes, yes. It's because it's,
Awesome.
yeah, it's just like it's just everything that I love as well. It's just so, I love all of this. And what I would love to do, because you did talk about, a lot of people find it hard to seek counselling or things like that. Now, for me, as I said, I swept everything under the carpet. As a businesswoman, how can we understand that we may need to seek counselling, and how do we sort of, how does counselling actually help us?
Yeah. So I guess um if you're going through life and it's different problem every day, you're good. Like, and if it's a different problem every day and you are sorting that problem,
Hmm.
things are going good. And I know that sounds strange to hear, but having different problems means there isn't a pattern necessarily that you're stuck in. But again, not just focusing on the outside, focusing on the feeling of that problem. However, if you are going through life and you feel like it's the same day, different day, same problem,
Mm,
that is the point that you need to go, okay, so because I'm doing the same thing and I've tried out 10,000 different ways to get out of this, and I'm still here. I'm still experiencing this. And that is a good indication that someone can help you out, move past that. Because we can only be on one path.
mm,
And so if we are on the path and that path is leading us to a deeper hole, and you can see that there is unhappiness in that path,
mm,
and you feel like you can't get out of that path, you need to move. You need to find someone that can help you move to a different path.
yeah.
Um, in counseling, we usually say if you're struggling for more than 2 weeks with that one problem, it's time to start seeing someone, because that problem can turn into, and we've all been here, to anxiety, to depression, and then that's a big hole to get out of.
Mm,
Um, and in terms of and people, some people do have, and I guess it's the way we've been brought up, in terms of what counseling, coaching, whatever it is, um, therapy is, and it can seem very scary. And again, we have those beliefs of what it is and what it isn't. And people are so surprised that it is just a conversation,
mm,
kind of like what we're having now, that it really, there isn't much to it. If you work with me, you'll laugh a lot. I'm very sarcastic. I'm very, direct. It's
love
my Slav way of just poof. And it's a very relaxed conversation about, um, it's kind of like the same way that you go to a doctor. You have a high blood pressure. Okay, so what can I do about that? And it's exactly the same way. There isn't, some people think, it's brainwashing, it's this, is that. It's really just a very relaxed conversation where you come out of it very empowered,
it.
because you start understanding yourself.
Mm, yeah, and isn't it cool when you actually understand yourself? Like, so for me,
Yes.
I got the depression and all of that, and yet I did a diploma of counselling. I'm not going to be a counsellor, but I did it, and it was amazing though. And I really want to, and I've got a psychologist as well, so I really want to reduce the stigma of going, oh my goodness, I need counselling. It's no, you're right. It is a beautiful conversation, and what can happen is so profound and so beautiful. And that's why I really, I wanted to talk to you today to reduce the stigma, because as you said, we get to look at our beliefs and our mindset and all that beautiful stuff. And so, like,
Mm.
yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. It's an I just I don't know how else to explain it, but when you go through that process, and when you free and it does feel like freedom,
Mm,
when you free yourself from those beliefs and just from healing those wounds,
mm,
it really, because they do really feel heavy, and we
mm,
know because we feel it, and we can expression to feel it even in our body,
mm,
manifest itself in physical pain. They feel like shackles,
mm,
and you're trying to fly, but there is, chains holding you down. And when you can let go of it, it feels freeing.
mm.
It just feels, yeah, liberating.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I can talk about that coming personally because I had the
Mm.
shackles of depression. And, I freely now talk about how I was suicidal. I had the whole thing. I had planned means, everything. I had it all.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah. And, that's why I want to talk about all of this and talk about how great counseling is, because it is freeing. It is amazing to look at our beautiful self beliefs, the healthy and unhealthy, and see what is actually happening. And
Yeah.
how can a businesswoman just every day do something on their self-belief, discovering what's happening, changing their mindset, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, so a good starting point is again defining some of those
Mm,
terms and what they mean to us, or the set terms that are in our lives, or that we use. Another thing is, so creating that awareness, and we use different exercises to create awareness, and it could be just, from journaling to actually doing physical exercises to
mm,
create awareness.
mm,
And one of the things that um, I have my clients do, and it's really amazing because a lot of times we are, it's bringing yourself to the present moment, but a lot of times we're not there. We are either in the past or we're in the future.
mm,
So bringing yourself to the present moment, and what that means. So the way you can do that is throughout everyday life. So whether you're putting your shoes on, whether you're washing dishes, even just typing, or doing something, just taking a moment and really taking a couple of deep breaths in, and focusing on what that feels like. So if you're putting your shoes on, really do it with intention and with complete consciousness, because 90% of the time we're on autopilot, and that autopilot, that's where we kind of come to a point in our life where we don't know what we're doing here. What are we here for? Because those decisions were made from autopilot, from unconsciousness, and unconsciousness is made up of, your traumas, your beliefs, and things like that. So coming out of there into consciousness and really putting on your shoes or washing dishes with intention, feeling what the the fabric feels like, or the soap feels like, and the roughness and the softness of each material and things like that. So really kind of turning on your senses intentionally, and that can help in so many ways. So if you do that daily practice every day, what I find with my clients is then they take that into the things they do. So I've had one client, he was doing that for a little while, and then he was like, okay, so I wanted to take that practice and I put it into shopping. And so each item that I took, I was like, I wanted to feel it and really focus on it. And then I kept asking, and it just came out of nowhere. I was asking the question of, is this going to nourish me? Or like, why am I putting this item in my trolley? Rather than just doing it unintentionally. Why is this pasta? That kind of thing, which can be so amazing, and it obviously help us keep us healthy and things like that. So those are kind of the daily practice that you don't need anything, whatever it is you're doing, sitting on a chair, but really taking a deep breath and just being present in that moment for however long you can, because I think our mind starts to wander. So yeah, that's a great way to start. And I think within a couple of weeks of doing that exercise every day, you'll start seeing changes in different ways you think and different ways you approach things.
Yeah, I love that. That is something that really did help to get me out of my depression, is just being present in each moment, like waking up and going,
Yes.
okay, I've woken up, what is happening? And it really did make a huge difference in my life. So if I'm working on my business and something happens and my mindset might change or something, I go, okay, stop, what is happening? And it's just being in that moment. Even if it means sitting in that emotion of frustration or anger or something, sitting in that moment, like, it's so profound. Like, we
Yes.
think, oh, anger and frustration are not healthy. Well, they can be, because it's the awareness that they're bringing to us.
Yes. Absolutely. And you can, and I love what you said there, sitting with the emotions, because that can be so scary, but it is so powerful. And essentially, when you work with me, I don't want you to come see me for the rest of your life. I really want to give you the tools and help you build yourself so that you can go out and talk to people like Elon Musk and really feel whoever it is that you look up to, Michelle Obama, or whatever it is, but really feel like you are at the same level, the same, you're kind of like the same people in a sense. You don't, just because someone is on a different earning bracket or whatever it is, reaches more people than you do, that we sometimes tend to feel a little bit smaller, like, oh my god. But just having that belief, and then and obviously, if you imagine, if let's say Michelle Obama was in front of you right now, and you could have a conversation with her without getting flustered, without of course, you can admire what she does, but really just firmly stand in who you are, where you would be, what type of decisions you would make. And that's what I help with my clients. And as you said, just we come to a stage where we're just so comfortable in the uncomfortableness, in those feelings. And it doesn't, if we get angry, it doesn't take up the rest of our day. It doesn't take up the rest of our week. it's just okay. So in that moment, let me sort it out then and there and let me move on. I don't have
Mm.
time to sit and dwell in that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a beautiful space to end this amazing conversation. Again, I could talk to you forever because we're on the same wavelength, and I just absolutely love it. And so I really want to put it out there for people that I want you to have the confidence and the courage to seek counselling or therapy or whatever it is, if you really want to, because I want to reduce that stigma. So, you've got beautiful people like Vanya.
Yeah.
There's amazing, counsellors everywhere. And in the description, I've actually got how you can find Vanya. So please, please look her up, find all that beautiful information out. And thank you again for your time. I really do appreciate it. And for everyone following, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Vanya.
Thank you for having me on.